Out of ammo, lost signal. She was left behind after the attack. No one thought she could survive. The unit retreated, assuming she had perished. 9 days later, the base opened its gates. One person walked in, clothes torn and muddy, arms clutching a mud-stained unit flag. No one dared to speak. A soldier whispered, "It can't be. That's her." Northern battlefield of the Hindu Kush mountain range, Afghanistan border. Freezing October 2023. Special Forces Unit Ghost 12 was deployed to hunt the last remaining insurgent group hiding in treacherous mountainous terrain. The youngest female soldier in the unit, Sophie Durrell, 26 years old, European descent, compact build, brown hair tied neatly behind her steel helmet, was the only rookie in the formation. No one believed she could last. Veteran soldiers often mocked her behind her back. "Don't let her hold the map. She'll probably draw flowers on it." During infiltration preparation, Sophie requested to handle secondary communications, but the commander assigned her to carry ammunition and provide backup support. No one needed opinions from a rookie. During their first encounter, the entire team was caught in a complex ambush, and Sophie was the only one separated from the group after explosions collapsed the terrain. Radio lost connection. Drones detected no movement around her last known position. The commanding officer, Major Harrison, stared at the silent radio for hours. Durrell, do you copy?" Sophie responded. "Nothing but static." "She's probably pinned down somewhere," suggested Sergeant Martinez. "We'll circle back for her." But circling back wasn't possible. The enemy had regrouped, cutting off all return routes to Sophie's position. For the first 24 hours, they tried everything. Thermal imaging showed nothing. Satellite feeds revealed only empty rocky terrain. "Maybe she found shelter," Private Johnson offered hopefully. But everyone knew the truth. The area where Sophie disappeared was a kill zone. No cover, no water sources, and crawling with hostiles. The veterans who had mocked her just days earlier now felt the weight of their words. "She was just trying to prove herself," Martinez said quietly. "And we didn't give her the chance," Harrison replied. On day 2, headquarters demanded a status report. Harrison had to make the call that every commander dreads. "We have one MIA, presumed Kia, Sophie Durrell. Rookie, but she deserved better from us." The paperwork was brutal. "Killed in action." 3 words that would define how Sophie's story ended. Or so they thought. What they didn't know was that Sophie had survived the initial blast. Wounded, disoriented, but alive. And she was about to prove that sometimes the quiet ones are the strongest ones. Have you ever been seen as a burden just because you were the new person? Comment, "Don't underestimate the quiet ones." I once interviewed the mission commander. He told me that after day 4, everyone signed off on Kia, killed in action, for Sophie. But there was something strange. Radar would occasionally pick up faint interference signals, like someone was trying to send messages but didn't have enough power. At the time, no one believed it could be from her. Day 2, the withdrawal area began being harassed by insurgents again. On the old sensor systems, unusual signs appeared. A small heat signature continuously moving during nighttime. An operations coordinator joked, "Probably wild foxes. Any person would be dead by now." But in the border region, an insurgent was discovered with an extremely precise gunshot wound through the wrist. A shot that could only come from a professional sniper. The bullet characteristics matched an M24 in the team, the exact rifle Sophie carried when she fell behind. In the following days, more enemy bodies were found, all in strategic positions leading toward the base direction. It seemed like someone was clearing a path, creating a route for the very special forces team she had traveled with. But no one dared to be certain. The battlefield intelligence officer, Captain Williams, studied the patterns obsessively. "These kills aren't random," he told Harrison. "Someone is systematically eliminating enemy positions along a specific corridor." "You think it's her?" Harrison asked, hardly daring to hope. "The shot placement suggests advanced training. Single shots. All lethal. Minimal ammunition waste. That's exactly how we taught tactical elimination." But hope was dangerous in war zones. Too many times, desperate commanders had convinced themselves that missing soldiers were still alive, only to find bodies weeks later. Even if she survived the initial blast, Williams continued. She's been without supplies for days. No food, limited water, no medical equipment. What they didn't know was that Sophie had found something better than supplies. She had found purpose. Every night she moved closer to base, using skills that her unit had never seen her demonstrate. Navigation by stars, silent movement, camouflage techniques that went beyond basic training. During daylight, she observed enemy patrol patterns. At night she struck with precision, always leaving an escape route for herself. She wasn't just surviving. She was systematically dismantling the insurgent network that had trapped her unit. Sophie's military academy records, if anyone had bothered to read them carefully, would have revealed something interesting. She had graduated top of her class in survival training and wilderness navigation, but her quiet demeanor and rookie status had overshadowed her actual capabilities. On day 5, a surveillance drone captured something unusual, a series of small smoke signals in a specific pattern. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. That's SOS, Williams realized. Someone is definitely alive out there. Could be enemy forces trying to mislead us, Harrison warned. Sir, those signals are coming from exactly the locations where we found the eliminated insurgents. The peace faces were forming a picture, but it seemed too incredible to believe. If it's really her, Harrison said slowly, she's not just surviving. She's completing the mission we failed to finish. The most remarkable part wasn't the survival, it was the strategy. Sophie wasn't randomly fighting for her life. She was methodically working her way home, clearing threats as she went. On day 7, thermal imaging detected a figure moving with military precision, carrying what appeared to be a large fabric object. What is she dragging? Williams wondered. They would find out soon enough. Have you ever sensed someone was still trying, even when the whole world thought they had given up? I believe there's still hope. By day 8, a medical helicopter was sent to collect what was suspected to be Sophie's body, but they found no remains. Instead, on the western hilltop, insurgent ambush positions had been completely eliminated, and no one understood how. An optical camera from a U.S. military drone captured a blurry image. A figure wearing a steel helmet, back bent forward, dragging a torn flag. That's when the commander shouted, "Stop. Go back there." The base went on alert, but no one had time to get outside. Only at 9:02 a.m. on day 9, the western steel gate of the base opened. One figure walked in, hair matted with mud, armor torn, boots worn through the soles. In her hands, the Ghost 12-unit flag. Sophie stood there. No one could believe it. Cry just looked at the commander and said, "I thought someone would need this flag when they came home." The silence that followed was deafening. Hardened veterans stared in disbelief. Some had already written condolence letters to her family. Major Harrison stepped forward, his voice barely a whisper. "Sophie, we thought you were dead." "I thought so too, sir." For about the first hour, the flag in her arms was tattered, stained with mud and what looked like blood. But the Ghost 12 insignia was still visible, still intact. "How did you?" Harrison couldn't finish the question. "The blast threw me into a ravine, knocked unconscious for maybe 6 hours. When I woke up, my radio was destroyed, but I was alive." The medical team tried to approach, but Sophie held up a hand. "I'm fine, sir. Just need a shower and a hot meal." "Sophie, you've been missing for 9 days." 9 days. We have satellite footage of enemy forces swarming that entire area. She nodded calmly. "Yes, sir. They were there." Past tense. Captain Williams stepped forward with a tactical map. "These elimination sites we've been tracking. That was you. I couldn't call for extraction, so I decided to clear a path home. Seemed like the logical thing to do." The room erupted in whispers. Veteran soldiers who had questioned her competence now stared in awe. "How many enemy contacts did you engage?" Harrison asked. Sophie thought for a moment. 17 confirmed eliminations. 2 wounded who retreated. I marked their positions on trees with chalk when possible. 17. She had single-handedly dismantled an insurgent network that had been harassing coalition forces for months. And the flag? I grabbed it when the blast hit. Figured if I didn't make it, at least someone would know Ghost 12 had been there. The emotional weight of her words hit everyone simultaneously. While they had been writing her off as dead, she had been protecting their unit's honor. Sergeant Martinez, one of her harshest critics, stepped forward. Sophie, I owe you an apology. We all do. She looked at him with tired but gentle eyes. No apologies needed, Sergeant. We all just did our jobs. Your job was to carry ammunition and provide backup support, Harrison said, still processing everything. Sir, my job was to make sure my unit succeeded. Mission accomplished. The flag ceremony that followed was unlike anything the base had ever seen. Sophie didn't want speeches or medals. She just wanted to properly return the colors to their rightful place. As they raised the battered flag, every soldier present understood they had witnessed something extraordinary. Not just survival, but dedication that transcended self-preservation. That evening, as Sophie finally agreed to medical evaluation, the doctors found something remarkable. Despite 9 days in hostile territory with minimal supplies, she was in surprisingly good condition. How did you manage food and water? The medic asked. Mountain streams and anything edible I could forage. Plus, I found an enemy supply cache on day 3. Even in the most desperate circumstances, she had adapted and overcome. The story spread quickly through military communications, but always with the same emphasis. This wasn't about heroics or glory. This was about a soldier who refused to quit on her unit, even when her unit had no choice but to quit on her. Have you ever witnessed someone return when everyone else had given up? Right. I will never give up. Sophie refused medical leave. She requested to stay for a few weeks to train new recruits on mountain survival. No one called her rookie anymore. She became a symbol not for strength, but for endurance. In each training session, she only said, don't wait for someone else to rescue you. Learn to find your way home, not for anyone else, but for yourself. One day, someone asked why she didn't use radio for help. Sophie replied, radio was broken, but wind wasn't. So I left signs using smoke and scent. A sergeant wrote on the training room board. She didn't come back to be called a hero. She just refused to die without anyone knowing why. The impact on unit morale was immediate and profound. Soldiers who had previously focused on equipment and firepower began paying attention to survival skills and mental resilience. Sophie's training sessions filled beyond capacity. She taught practical skills, how to find water in rocky terrain, which plants were edible, how to move silently, how to read enemy patrol patterns. But more importantly, she taught mindset. Survival isn't about being a leader, the strongest or the smartest, she explained during one session. It's about being the most persistent. When everything goes wrong, what do you do next? And then what do you do after that? Her story became part of the base's culture. New arrivals heard about the flag walker, the soldier who spent 9 days behind enemy lines and came home with the unit colors. But Sophie never embraced the nickname or the attention. She remained focused on practical matters, improving training protocols, sharing knowledge, preparing others for situations they hoped they'd never face. The unit flag, now cleaned and repaired, was displayed in the command center with a small plaque, returned by Specialist Sophie Durrell after 9 days behind enemy lines. Never leave anyone behind. Never leave anything behind. Captain Williams instituted new survival training requirements based on Sophie's experiences. If one person can survive 9 days with minimal supplies, he reasoned, we need to ensure everyone has those capabilities. Sophie's influence extended beyond tactical training. She had shown that quiet competence was more valuable than loud confidence, that persistence mattered more than bravado. The veterans who had once questioned her presence now sought her advice. The rookies who arrived after her ordeal looked up to her not as an unreachable hero, but as proof that determination could overcome seemingly impossible odds. Most significantly, Sophie had changed how the unit thought about failure and success. They learned that being left behind didn't mean being abandoned, and that coming home wasn't always about rescue. Sometimes it was about rescue yourself. Do you have someone who was a small light during your darkest time? Comment, I owe someone like that. Sophie's story was never mentioned in the media. She was never awarded special titles, never made the news. But new soldiers at the base were all told about a woman left behind enemy lines who survived 9 days among enemies and returned with a mud-stained flag. They called her the Flag Walker, the one who carried colors home from the realm of the dead. And the final thing she left for everyone? Don't let anyone else write your final chapter. As long as you're alive, you hold the pen. Her legacy wasn't written in medals or commendations. It was written in the hearts of soldiers who learned that giving up is a choice, not a requirement. The flag still flies at the base. A daily reminder that coming home isn't about luck or rescue. It's about refusing to accept any other outcome. Sophie continued her quiet service, training others, sharing knowledge, preparing soldiers for the unexpected. Because she had learned the most important lesson of all. Survival isn't about what happens to you. It's about what you decide to do next. And then what you decide to do after that. And after that. If you believe in stories that touch the heart like this, leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe to The Ordinary Heroes. We tell the stories that shouldn't be forgotten. Real people are creating and telling stories, not mass-produced AI.